Hello everyone, today we are going to work on this squeeze through a crack in a wall mechanism in Unreal Engine 5. So this is a reference from a game that I played recently. Now here you see there is a small space, a tight space between the wall, and the character can squeeze through in that tight space. So we are going to recreate this in Unreal Engine. So here is the preview of what you are going to get at the end of this episode. Here you can see, just like in the game, we have this tight space between these two rocks, and here we go to this animation and we move through the wall like this. If I go from here, again we are going to that animation, move through the crack and go back to the regular third person control. While we are inside this crack, we cannot move the camera because the camera is locked to this view, and we can only move either forward or backward. So yeah, let's see how to implement this today. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that you can download the project files of this project and all other thousands of projects that I have done in my channel from the Patreon page. Once you become a member, you can download anything without a limit. And let's get back to the work. So this system will be based on these camera systems that we have worked on in this creative camera systems in Unreal Engine series. There will be a link to this full playlist in the description below, so if you haven't watched them, you can check them out. But still, even if you don't check them out, you can still follow this tutorial and get an idea how to implement such a mechanism in your game. And let's get back to today's work. So here I have set up an example scenario where we have this tight space between these two rocks in this map. So this is where I'm gonna test this situation. So the first thing is, I have imported two animations. This one, this is the movement in the tight space, and then this is the idle animation. These are not perfect animations, I know. I just created them using inside Unreal using the sequencer, but they will be enough for our tutorial. So first thing is, I'm gonna create a blend space and animation, legacy, blend space 1D. So I'll select this SK mannequin. I'll call it BSB 1D. No need to have 1D. Wall walk. The reason I'm calling this wall walk is because character is kind of working alongside a wall here, so you can use any name you want if it doesn't work for you. Now let's open our third person character. So this is the process that I'm going to follow. First, I'm going to work on the character animation part, then I'm going to work on the camera system, and then I'm going to work on how to manipulate the character's movement based on this situation. So first, let's get the movement. So for that, let me open the character and let's go to the animation blueprint. So the animation blueprint is this 𝐒𝐴𝐵𝐵_Queen, but 𝐒𝐴𝐵𝐵_Queen is a child class of 𝐒𝐴𝐵𝐵_Many, so I'll go there. We don't need this. And then here, if I go to the anim graph, here I have this basic locomotion, and then let me get that blend space I created. Oh, I didn't add any animations here. Idle here, and the other one at this end, 0 to 100. I'll change this to velocity. Name, let me call it speed. Okay, and now here you see the blend space is working. simple one. Now let me drag and drop this blend space into the animation blueprint, and here speed. So I already have this ground speed. I'm gonna connect it directly, and then here let's do a blend versus by pole. So this is one of the basic ways to handle this. If you have multiple poses, multiple states, then you will need something else. But since I only have this basic locomotion and this wall walk or squeeze through kind of motion, so this works. So I'll promote this to a variable. What should I call it? Let's call it on wall. Yeah, I'll put it under essential moment data. By default, this should be false, not true. Oh no, it's false. Okay, preview. Oh wait, if it is on wall, we should be playing this. If it is not on wall, we should use the regular locomotion. So that means we have to interchange. Okay, now this is the regular motion. If I change this to on wall, we will have this. And I'll increase this blend time a little bit so the character will not snap between those two states. And now we need a way to toggle this. So we have this should move is falling values. Let's see how they are set. Well, like this. We only have a character reference here, therefore we can't directly access a variable if I define it within the character blueprint. We may have to cast it into third person character. So okay, that's fine for prototyping purposes. I will leave it as this is, and here we already have this PPI player. Let me add a function. I'll call it toggle wall mode and enable. Okay, so this is not something that we call in every frame or so, therefore I'll do a casting for now. Get anim instance. Please note that casting is not a very good practice as it increases the coupling between systems. Yeah, why not? Let's define another interface. So PPI character anim toggle wall mode enable. Alright, now let's implement this interface in here. PPI character anim. Now we got interfaces toggle wall mode. Alright, I'll set this value. Okay, now from here get anim instance toggle wall mode. Make sure to use this toggle wall mode implemented through PPI character anim, because that's a function implemented in the animation blueprint. Now for testing purposes, let me add num7 here. This is only for testing to see if this switch transition works. I'll call toggle wall mode enable and disable with this num7 pressed, so I can test this and let's see what happens. Okay, if I press 7, yeah, it is working. If I press 7 again, the character switched to the normal movement. Okay, that's fine. Remember to remove this if you when you're releasing the game. Okay, now the next step is the camera part. So for that, here we already have this curved rail camera. On rail camera, let me put this curved rail camera here. Let's start with this side. And spline, let me make it longer. Okay, this is the basic path. Yeah, it's going through. Okay, and this one I'll enable can disable, and when I enable can disable, you see we have this disable trigger here. So let me modify this trigger locations and scales. Enable trigger, I'll place it in a place like this, and disable trigger here at the end. Okay, player will not miss it. And also I'll modify this follow distance to 100. Now if I test, this is what happens. Okay, character is just going through it. So that's not the way we need it. We need to switch the character to that squeeze through movement and slow down a little bit. So to do those things, I don't think we should use this same camera, this curved rail camera. Let's create a child of this, and I'll call it squeeze through camera, and I'll replace this curved rail camera with the newly created squeeze through camera. For now nothing is changed because we haven't modified or overridden any function or event in this camera. So the first thing we need to modify is we have on become view target event and on end view target events. So in here on become view target event, first I'll add a call to the parent function as well, because there are stuff that happens in the parent functions that we need to wait. What did I do? Okay, oh, convert event to function. Okay, that's not what I should do. So important things happens in parent functions, so I need to keep them. All right, okay, now we have the player controller. So with this we can also access get player character, or maybe controlled form, yeah, from this, and call toggle wall mode. Make sure to use the player interface, enable, and same thing here, but disable when we exit from this camera. Also I mentioned I need to slow down a little bit when we are going through the wall. Therefore here character movement, so the default movement speed is 250. Set max walk speed, set max walk speed. I just select based on this value. If it is enable, what should I use? Maybe 100. If it is disable, 250, because that was the default value. You can dynamically get the existing value and put that in a variable and reuse it here, so that no matter what the default value here, you will be having it rather than hard coding. But I don't want to go into that detail here. Alright, now let's see what happens. Yeah, it's working. If I go back now, yeah, of course we don't have another camera for this side, so that is something we need to work on. Okay, but for one side it is working. So how do we implement the same thing for the other side? Where is the disable trigger? Yeah. Okay, so for that, first let me add another camera. Well, press Alt and drag. Now you have two cameras. Let me rename this 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽1, 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽2. Okay, 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽2. I'll rotate it 180 degrees and place it here. Yeah. So if I start from here, now still we will have a conflict. We do get this camera, but this will be switched to the other side. See, now we are stuck. So we need to pair these two cameras. How should we do that? Actually, this pairing up would be important not just for this scenario but other camera types as well. Therefore, I'll implement a way to pair up cameras in this base camera class, which is CLM camera. Here I'll add a variable pair camera, and it should be in the same type as this class, which is CLM camera. Okay, I'll make it public so we can assign it, and then when this camera becomes a view target, if I have a valid paired camera, I need to disable that. Similarly, if I have a paired camera, when this camera becomes not the view target, so that means here on end view target, we should enable the other camera. So I'll add another function here, toggle active, add an input active. Now the camera is activated from this enable trigger. So here set, if I just disable collisions for this, camera will not be activated. Therefore I'll use this set collision enabled and choose the collision type based on this active value. If it is false, no collision. If it is true, collision enabled. Right, now since this is the same class, if this camera is activated, I'll deactivate the paired camera. So toggle active, call it with a false. Similarly, when this camera on end view target, I'll reactivate the paired camera. Okay, now for the 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽1, I'll select the other camera in the other side as the paired camera. So we can use this pick actor from scene and pick. So 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽2 is selected. For this 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽2, the paired camera is 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐽1. Right, now let's test. All right. Okay, so no conflicts. Let's test the other side. Great, no conflicts. Awesome. And a couple more things to make this look nicer. Here you see, when we exit from this squeeze through camera and go to the regular camera, the view just snaps. It kind of breaks the continuity. So to make it smooth, what we can do is, let's go here, no, here. When we call this enable character camera, we call this on disable trigger. I'll add an additional parameter here. Enable character camera, a rotator, cam rotation, and a boolean to say whether to update rotation or not, because there might be some cases that we don't really want to update the rotation of the camera. So now if I compile this, we have this cam rotation and update rotation. Here I'll make it true, and as the cam rotation, I'll get the camera rotation, get world rotation. Okay, now also let's go back to our class, character class. Where is, yeah, here, enable character camera. Okay, here, if this is true, we can get controller and set control rotation to this new cam rotation. If not, we can simply ignore that part. Okay, maybe let's make this a bit slow so the camera will be blended smoothly. Let's try that now. Maybe blend in part for this wall camera also should be fixed. See, now the camera does not snap. Okay, for the camera, here we have this blend time. Let me promote this to a variable and make it visible. By default it's 0, but for these squeeze cameras I'll make it 1, so they will be smooth. Okay, time to test. Right, no, what went wrong? Something went wrong. Let me test again. Okay, oh, here we have a problem. Well, it's just I didn't have enough gap between this disable collider and the enable collider of this first camera, so that's all, nothing complicated. Okay, so let's test again. Go here. Alright, so here is the final version. So we can go through this title space without any issue. And I'm gonna stop this episode right here. Thanks for watching. As always, updated project files will be available for the download in Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. And feel free to let me know what else you guys would like me to cover in this series, just like this creative camera system. Actually, I want to cover something like working on a ledge that is on a wall, something like that. So yeah, let me know and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.